Good day, everyone. I'm Twamsen Danaan, and I'm the host of Status Mutato Art Festival's Creatives Hangout. And here with me, I have Matthew Chindaba. He is a visual artist. He studied visual and applied arts at the University of Jos. And beside him is Mgbechi, who studies film at the National Film Institute. He's a film director. Beside him is Morenike Faleye. She studies computer science at the University of Jos. And we have Bamidele Ayoola. He is a musician who studied physics at the University of Jos. And beside me here is Adenike Ayeni. She studied film at the National Film Institute, and she's a photographer. So here at the Creatives Hangouts, we are here to explore our understanding of our culture. The cultures that we knew, the culture that we are creating, and the culture that is at the moment. So, yeah, welcome everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you. So, first of all, every creative has something that pushes them to want to explore their art. So for filmmakers, I can give that perspective because that's where I am. I want to use my work to reach out to society about social issues and try to lay my own voice to how they can be solved. That is where my background comes. So that's why I make film. But every artist has their own. So what's your own experience? Who can give us their experience of what it means to make their art and why they do?
So yes, as a poet, I feel we are not, or our works are not appreciated as much as it should be in Nigeria, in the Nigerian society. But of late, it has come to limelight that everybody needs poetry. I was in a conversation with someone this week, and this person said he likes the way the music industry is going because they are being poetic with their lyrics nowadays. They are touching it up, and it is making more sense. I have been in the music department, or should I say the music sector. I've been in the photography sector, and I have seen photographers who do concept photography, where poems are
Adapted.
yes, they are included.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have storytelling photography where poems are used. In visual arts too, you have them trying to put the words into paintings and everything. So I think the poem in the society has nexus to these other arts. I myself, I like to use pictures to write. I could just see a picture on the net, get it, write about it. So it makes me feel I can relate to everybody's predicament, situations, conditions, because for whichever creative took the pictures, whichever creative is writing the songs or making the beats to a song, the person has a particular mood or idea or expression they're trying to pass to the society, I can be a tool to help propagate this idea. I can be a tool to help elaborate his ideas, his expressions of what he was trying to pass. So yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Like, it makes sense that you can be able to use someone's work to express meaning the way you understand it, using your own understanding, your own art form. Yeah. So,
I feel these days why the musicians are being poetic with their lyrics and all is because nobody wants to give accolades to, sorry to say, rubbish. You understand? Everybody's aiming for the Grammys and all. So when you check, the Grammys is like, what message are you passing through your music? Can we use your music to empower this country that is dying or something? If we can't, then why should we? Gone were those days where music is all about money, love, money. You should be sending a strong message to the generation that is to come and the generation alive, because these days everybody is suffering. We need hope. So I just feel that's why music is changing, the lyrics is changing, and people are paying good writers to give them good lyrics to produce good songs out there. We win.
so how does that relate to your filming experience now when it comes to using your work as a filmmaker?
As a filmmaker here, my films and the stories are put out there because now these days when people make films, their films is like sending a direct message. I like direct message, but I don't believe in direct message. I believe in branches. Like at the end of the day, you see somebody, this film is talking about national unity. I want to shoot an open-ended film that is talking about national unity, talking about corruption, so it's left for you to pick. So whenever you go back and watch it, you pick something else, different messages. That's how I make my films, because I feel you giving somebody a particular message or you going after is boxing yourself, and I don't believe in that.
Okay, so I think it's a good idea to have people derive meaning out of your work. Like, I remember some directors will tell you, like, when they ask them, oh, what were you trying to say in this? They'll be like, they'll ask you, okay, what did you see in it? And then when the person begins to talk about it, say, yeah, I guess that's what the intention was. Yeah. And the same thing happens with musicians, with visual artists. Like some of them, when you go to their gallery and you're watching, and you'll be like, who? Maybe you're looking at this abstract work and it's, oh, there's fire here. Ooh. And they're like, oh, is that it? Oh, wow. What is it? Say, yeah. It's because let the art piece evoke.
Yeah, definitely, because I'm a visual artist, so I've worked, and let me say technology has changed the way we do art and create art, virtually for everybody, in a generic term. As a poet, as a photographer, as a filmmaker, we all have elements and principles that we work with. It's just the way we choose to express these elements and principles that matters. But they are immutable, they're always there. Be the musician, there are elements and principles in music that you have to learn first and foremost before you express yourself effectively. So in visual art, we don't speak too much English. We just put out the work out there, and then we allow you travel through the work. Our job is just to help you travel through the work, to engage you in a meaningful conversation, pleasurable intercourse with the work, and then we engage you with the art piece, because it has been redefined the way artwork is being created now. You don't necessarily know how to draw the way it used to be. So can you draw? I'm an artist. Can you draw me? No. You don't have to be, you have to be labeled an artist or know how to draw, basically, before you express yourself through art. Because there are abstractions. In this, let me use this guy here for an example. I can pick up colors. We infuse music sometimes with art. This color, what's it saying? Every color has significance.
Yeah.
You understand? It has meaning. Different people with different different meanings to colors. So I think technology has played a very vital role in the way we do art and create art, basically. So like in my own case, I love music passionately. I love poetry. And then I'm thinking to venture into photography too, because photography is becoming inevitable in art. Definitely. So if you go to most of these recent exhibitions, you see people exhibiting photography, because in photography you capture moments, you know, that people take for granted. You know, you are very, you get this social conscience, you get this critical eye that things that people overlook, take for granted. You know, you are very sensitive to the way people live their lives in the society. So we have become like sponge. We absorb information and then we, you know, we mule it over and then we try to tell the society what it is we are trying to say through our works. And I think that's making very much difference in the way we create art and share art, basically.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Adenike, what do you feel about photography?
Yeah.
Like, I know that when you just said it.
Actually, it is said that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So when a picture and pictures are universal language. Someone can take a picture and without words, someone who speaks Spanish can understand what you're saying. Why you don't even speak Spanish, but you speak English and you take a picture, someone who is elsewhere can understand what you're saying because it is a visual art form. It's a visual art culture. So pictures, I use pictures to tell stories. I use pictures to showcase beauty, and this has to do with colors. This has to do with your composition. How do you arrange things in a frame? These tell stories too. When people see this, there's a conscious interpretation of this is what this person is trying to portray. So pictures are really, really great. They are very, very, very major powerful tools that creative tools available to us, and it also adapts different forms of creativity, different forms of creative art too.
Yeah. Now, talking about technology, there was that when he spoke about technology, like, I just thought of it, yeah, we have the experience of how much we've seen things change. Yeah, Status Mutato is actually about what it says, change is the only constant. Why? Because the reason why we want people to accept change as things that happen, and rather than fighting sometimes, is try to create a place of understanding what something that is changing is going to be bringing. Because in all our art forms, we've had various schools that have existed against what is right now, because they felt at that point was never going to be something that was going to make sense. But right now, they actually, so when we see how technology affects our art, how have we used these changes in technology to improve our art experience? I'm sure many of us, maybe when we started writing our lyrics first, we started writing on paper.
I still write on paper.
Okay, you still write. So, still write on paper. But now you still have that. You have another option of maybe when you're tired of, you just want to record it. And maybe at that time you have to go and buy a recorder. But now you have a phone that comes with a recorder in it, and then at any time, you just press the button and record. You don't even need to go and start carrying the tape to go somewhere. No. Like, you can just transfer it to your computer and then all that. It works like that. So how does technology influence your music experience?
Yeah. I do think that it has made expression easier, because like a couple of many years ago, for you to have a song, you first of all go to a studio where they are using a magnetic tape, and if you mess up, that tape is ruined. It's a waste. And then even aside that, getting all the equipment and everything was a hassle. Now, you just need to have a couple of plugins on your system, and then you have basically an emulation of every analog thing and everything that's ever been produced that will help you make music. In fact, you have the emulation so downright that they emulate the tone of the particular console that you want. So it has made expression easier in music, because particularly, like, I could lie down on my bed now and sing into a mic, holding the mic, and it would be a world-class recording.
Yeah.
Because, like, the mics are easier. All you need to do is have your room fitted a little bit. Just maybe there's this wonderful concept that I don't know who came up with it, but whoever came up with it, God bless him. It's called an eyeball.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just like a piece of foam that you put on top of the mic, and then it acts like what a diaphragm does. There's another thing called the diaphragm that's like a bracket around the mic. So instead of you having that diaphragm, you have the eyeball. It's cheaper and still does work almost as good as the diaphragm does. So I can be anywhere and just sit down with my mic and record, and it still comes out well. So it has made expression easier, and particularly in the parts where now you see a lot of the processes that you need to do, all the long process that you need to do to make music before everything is just right there at your fingertips. The keyboard sound you're looking for, the violin sound. I mean, there are a ton of producers who can't play any instrument and still make music. Music as good. I mean, I think Saz doesn't play any instrument. He doesn't. And he still makes music probably as good as any other
Sounds
person.
are very, very, very celebrated in Nigeria because he has made Saz on the beats.
I mean, it's Saz.
Yes, it's Saz.
On the beat,
Yeah.
can't play
Yeah.
instruments.
Well, you see, that's one thing we change. Back in the day, some people would say, if you cannot play an instrument, then you are not good enough to be this.
Yeah.
You are not good enough to be this, because like you need to have gone through that.
I mean, some people even say that if you can't sing a particular way, because like back in the day, the 1980s, 1970s, 1960s, they no born you when you enter studio where you know how to sing.
Like sing.
You can't sing, but now we have portable.
Oh my God.
It's just the truth. Because okay, the other day PDD posted something on Instagram where he was talking about how R&B and soul, there are no R&B and soul artists, because R&B used to be a genre where you can't get into that genre if you cannot sing. But now you have R&B and soul artists who can't sing half as good as people like Whitney Houston and the rest, but they're still making great music. Because what? Auto-tune.
Yeah.
I mean, like, even now there are even creative ways of using auto-tunes, like listening to people like Young Thug and the rest, and T-Pain started it though. But listening to people like them, look at how creatively they are using auto-tune to give it a different kind of sound. So like there has been a big shift in what our understanding of the conventional used to be, and now the conventional is now beginning to look like a by-the-way thing. The unconventional is becoming more conventional because everybody's trying to break out of a perceived system of how things work.
So now we're talking about the culture. So how does a culture come to you? How do you get to experience a culture? On a personal level, I think culture I've gone through so many cultures in my little time on earth, and I am a product of it. Sometimes you get to adopt these cultures consciously, sometimes unconsciously, and they begin to form your behavior, who you are. And so what are these elements that we see? How do you think we get cultures exported to us, and how do we export our own cultures? And what is the culture that is born within? If you check your space as a creative, what are the things that you can see has informed your music, has informed your photography, has informed your film, your visual art? Like, what are those experiences that you can say that I used to be this, but based on the influence on this, this is what I am right now. This is what our society now is about it. Because just like you said, what wasn't conventional has now become only conventional, and then the unconventional is now conventional. So like all those shifts, how can we speak about this?
Okay, I think to me as a visual artist, a lot has changed. A lot has changed. Let me say I'm pretty new in the industry. I'm still freelancing, if you can say that. So you get to find yourself in different cultures. You say you absorb information just like I said before, and then you try to diffuse it and then send it out to the public. So I still talk about technology because it has changed a lot of things about the way I do art, speaking as a visual artist. It has given the artist unlimited platforms to reach out to audience in a fascinating, creative and effective manner. Artists can now employ multidisciplinary approaches to art, giving him that edge. He can now, speak to his audience in an engaging and fascinating manner. And then you have the ability, the flexibility to talk about issues, that affect contemporary living from the cultural, social, and political perspectives. And then you have the opportunity now to document experiences, to document concerns, to document observations, and then the effect of these matters as relates to humanity, most especially in modern times, in the times we are in, most especially the effect of social media on art. Social media has changed a lot of things. It has broken barriers and all that. So in the comfort of your room, you can do anything and then the world can see it in the twinkle of an eye. So I think it has given us that edge. It has changed the way things have been done, the way art is being created and shared. It has given the artist the access to unlimited, platforms, and then let me say you can now reach the audience beyond even the conventional boundaries of the art world. You get? So it has changed a lot of things and it is still changing. So change is constant. So I think Status Mutato is about all of that. The way change has affected us all, the way we do our art, be it music, poetry, photography, cinematography, and all that. So I think all these, let me say, art forms are interrelated, whether I like it or not. One cannot do without the other. So for me personally, like I said, I love poetry. The artist has this ability to change, to let me say, change concepts or abstract concepts into images that people can see and talk about. And then you can still talk about that work. It's like, let me say, what do you call it in chemistry? It's a reversible reaction. Somebody help me out. So you can go this way or that way. You can change music to art and then art to music. Like this guy, if anybody knows about Ibe Ananaba, the guy is just so hooked up to Nas music that when he paints, you see they say painting is every painting is self-expression. Everything you put on paper is a little bit of you, on canvas or whatever medium you're expressing yourself is a little bit of yourself. If you are dirty, they see it in your work. If you are quiet, they see it in your color palette. If you are noisy, your template color, the use of your color will define who you are. So that's basically the way it works in the art industry, let me say visual art industry. Back then, before you, let me say, you sell a painting or before you show people your painting, it takes a lot of hassle, and then you go out there have to transport your painting. Often I just do a walk and then you snap and then you send. And then technology has given you that opportunity. That's added to the artist arsenal of tools, whereby the elements and principles are always there, they are constant. But just that it has given you the ability to express these elements and principles in a diverse form and all that. So I think it's making a lot of changes and we are benefiting a lot from that as artists. I think.
Oh, that's some good insight into it. When you speak of how much the work right now can reach the target. We've heard, maybe some of us here, if you have not heard of it, but 2 years ago, I think during the lockdown, it became very loud. We started hearing more about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, ways in which your art now it's been appreciated in a
Appreciated.
different
If you are an
way.
artist, if you just
Yeah.
understand how the system works, you
Works,
can
you-
create artworks.
Yeah.
NFTs gives artists the the sole right to his work.
Mhm.
You know, you do work, you put it out there, you create your. It's like a gallery. It's like a gallery whereby you put your artwork, and then when people buy your work, when they sell it, you still have your own commission on your work.
Royalties.
You get royalties from the work, and it's, people are making very crazy money.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit, let me say, I won't say tough. If you work hard, you press the right buttons, I think you get there. All you need is your gas.
Sounds like a Nigerian parent. True.
Yeah.
So you see artwork, you know, artists back then, when they see the works we create now, they say, what is this? You know, someone said he longs for the days when artwork feels like a homemade meal, unlike the one we do today that feels like you know, all this fast food and junk. So I think technology has contributed to that too. But notwithstanding, it has given us an edge, because back then when they say you're an artist, can you draw me? You know, I have this Igbo friend. I said, have you ever seen any Igbo blue with art? And the guy just got discouraged. But that's not the case. That's not the case. Art is not just some bread and butter profession. You know, if you're not sensitive, the artist has this. I'm not being selfish, but I think he's a real person who works with his mind, with his soul, and then with his body, all at the same time. Because
So you know I like this.
You need to
Eh?
see what
The word artist at the moment, right, is gone beyond.
Just
What's-
drawing.
One person.
Yeah.
Yes.
so when
It's
I
an
was-
umbrella term now.
Yeah, it's an
Like,
umbrella
so
term.
if I just post like this now, you know you can draw me. Like, drawing, you know, drawing is basically the language. If you don't know how to draw, you're going to have a hard time creating good art, because good art is based on good draftsmanship. That's your ability to draw, the original use of color, and then originality. So that when they see it, they know that this is your. It's like in music. Everybody has his own, you know, pattern. When we hear Burna Boy, we know this is Burna. Even from his beats, you know this is Burna Boy. This is this. So when I see an artwork, I know that this is Picasso. This is this person. This is this person. So in contemporary art in Nigeria now, you know, technology is breaking barriers. You know, from just here, from anywhere, you can exhibit virtually. You know, there's virtual exhibition with the COVID now. People have devised means to express themselves despite the lockdown.
Yeah.
So I think I appreciate that a lot.
Also in photography, technology has really helped photography. Back in the days, analog cameras, yeah, that's what used to be used. But now we have digital cameras that you can carry around. Then analog cameras were so big, the weight, and then the digital right now, when you take a picture and you can preview, then we used to have film that you have to take look, put in the light to
Darkroom,
see,
yeah.
and then if it's not what you want, that film is wasted. But now you can easily delete and then retake your pictures. And then in editing, we have editing softwares. Then it's it's called darkroom, where you have to go process your pictures. It takes longer time, it takes energy, and so it's strenuous. But right now with
It's
your
called-
system,
It's called what?
darkroom.
Back then, now it's called what?
Now it's
Lightroom.
Lightroom. I get that. I get that. So now you have a system. You
Yeah.
have your Lightroom, your Photoshop. Just press some buttons, click, do some clicks. Even right now, there are some cameras that you don't even have to edit your pictures. They come out the way you want it. When you do your settings, just set up the combination, the ISO, shutter speed, and all, and the rest, and your pictures come out the way you want it. You don't need to re-edit. Maybe what you just need to do, maybe when you want to put your watermark or your logo, and I'm trusting that very soon.
I've actually seen cameras that you
that
can
you have,
you
yes,
can put
you
your
can just
Yeah.
program
on top
it,
of yes.
Right on it.
Yes,
program
right
it
into the
on
camera,
the
and then
camera, so
you take the picture, then
and just export.
straight to
So
this straight to the
I
internet.
believe we are getting there, that
I
it
think
will
there
be
are
normal.
some photographers now that I think they do more like wait and take very
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
take the picture.
So that
They take the
time,
picture and they send it to you immediately.
Yeah.
Everything
so
is
that
there.
time is compressed. You do things quickly and less strenuous, less hectic. So that's a way that technology has really helped. Also, social media, you can send a picture, someone abroad, someone in Lagos, someone some other location will see the picture and will say, I need this person to come, and then business happens. So it has really helped in selling our markets as a photographer, as a creative. Technology, social media has really helped in that business space, really.
I also feel the fact that right now is photography is easily accessible to a lot of people has now made it very difficult for photographers
To actually
to
become.
actually
I was just going to say this.
make money from photography, and
Well,
because you would
yeah.
have to be, I feel you have to be exceptional.
Yeah.
Photography is beyond just
Yeah.
carrying a camera. A
You have to
photographer has eyes, has
Your
there are
picture has
so
to tell a story.
yes, there are so many things that go into a picture. Composition. There are some people that they just take picture and somebody is starting like this, they just snap. Pictures are not there's composition in your frame. There's color combination. There is lighting.
Focal point.
It's not everybody that knows about lighting. Well, 3-point lighting, and then the settings too. There are some people, they take pictures and they don't know how to set. So it goes beyond just carrying camera and just snapping.
But you have
Yes.
phones, some very good phones that do all that job for you.
Still,
And
if you
then-
don't have that photographic eyes,
Yeah.
you might just, your pictures will not tell the story. To just be let me just snap.
He has the
Even
right
as a
one.
phone, even you using a phone, you have to have that photographic eyes. You have to have that creative mind. Okay, what message am I trying to pass on? What emotion do I want to instill in my audience or in my viewers? What am I really sending? So it goes beyond just carrying phone. Even a child can carry a phone and just snap.
When someone has a very good phone, like they can take a picture and then everybody thinks it is awesome. Yes, you know, when you're using a manual camera, you have to put your ISO, your aperture, your shutter speed. You have to look at the time of the day. You have to ensure, in order to create the image. So there's a lot of control on what the picture would be. Now, I'm not taking away from the person that the person have a photography eye, yes, but you now who has the camera in your hand, and you have been training yourself to see these exposures at the time in which you can be able to bring out the picture, because it's not just about the fact that it makes you a professional, but there's also that joy when you feel that you were able to create this thing.
Yeah.
But it's taken away from you when somebody can easily create that thing. And that is why a lot of people don't want to accept the changes that happen with a lot of their art forms. It's because they feel like the soul of the artist is no longer present in the work, because it loses the appreciation it can get. Yeah, that's why you see some festivals. In those festivals, what they do is they want you to only take pictures. It shouldn't be edited. Take the picture and submit the raw images. They want to see. If you just temper on it, you're disqualified, because they know that anybody can use a plugin to fix stuff. They just do crop it, do that there. But sometimes, for you to just look at a picture and get it within the frame, even though professionals crop. I was looking at Platon. After he has this stuff where he actually looks at his picture and be like, okay, at this point, no, I don't need this part. Cropping is one of the good tools that is even employed in photography, yes. But sometimes you just take that picture without a crop, without anything, and just let it be perfect. Yeah, that is when I speak about that photography thing, about how does it now that you as a photographer can no longer really, because the person buying it, all they just see is a fine picture.
Well, I think that should be embraced. It should not like resist it because it's a change, and then whether you like it or not, it has come to stay. So I think you should accept it as it being something to ease your work. It helps you, okay, having to crack your brain. I'll have to set what aperture goes with this ISO, what shutter speed goes with this ISO. So I think you should just embrace it, and you to also develop, because as time goes on, different technologies are coming on. So what you need to do is to learn, train yourself. Now, there's University of YouTube. You don't need to pay to go to maybe a film school, to go to a film school, or to go to a photography school. You can learn on your own, self-education. You can learn on your own, take out time, burn that data, and then we see that you get better. People would come after you once they know that, okay, you are different from just anybody that will just carry camera or carry phone and just snap. You are different. There's something you've improved yourself on. So that self-improvement, that self-development should also come in. Don't say no, they are making technology that will just push away. It should help you, should encourage you that it's making your work easier.
So
easier.
sorry, but what about the changes that take away from the art form? Let me give you an example. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a hip hop artist. That is the core of all the music I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, over the years, we have had a severe degradation in the quality of work of hip hop artists. It gets to the point where, like, I use a lot of streaming platforms, but Apple Music is my go-to platform. Now, when you're listening to music on Apple Music, yeah, maybe for instance you're listening to an album. When the album ends, there's an infinite play, whatever, that you can just keep on playing, and it plays songs that are similar. Now, when I'm listening to a hip hop album, more than half of the time, I will switch off my infinite play, because I know that no matter how good this album is that I'm listening to, the next thing that comes in might spoil the whole feeling I've had. So what now happens when this kind of changes brings unwanted ideas? I will not say people, because people are welcome anyway. But what happens when it brings unwanted ideas? You know, the other day I saw a video of where they were trying to compare. So someone said, what is one music myth that that you're going to debunk? And the person said that, as far as he's concerned, that new age female rappers that are in the line of Cardi B and the rest should not be considered top rappers.
Yes.
And in my own opinion, in my honest opinion, I respect their work, but I agree.
Unpopular opinion.
It's the same thing with what other people have turned the art form into. The art form has become something to be trifled with. So what happens? Because yes, in as much as we're trying not to take away people's ideas of self-expression, but do we let them have those ideas or those modes of self-expression while it takes away from the culture of what the art has built? The culture of hip-hop was a culture of raging against the system. It was a culture of people trying to find hope in hopelessness. And that was the whole culture of music too, initially, until it became dumbed down. That's why you can have somebody who probably had a field acting career and then decides that the next thing that they're going to do is jump into music. That thing pisses me off. Why is a comedian doing music? I mean, if it is part of your
No shades.
But
we see it though.
But if it is part of your comedy retinue, that is fine. Yeah. But then, not that you are telling me that you are doing. Why would James Brown be doing music? What are you doing in the studio? Are you a musician?
James Brown does music.
So like all these things, like it makes me question. I'm not saying I'm the most talented. Obviously, there are always people who are more talented. But then, like, do these updates and these whole things and this idea of let people just express themselves in whatever they want to do and however they want to do it, how does that come back to sort of affecting all of our various art forms? How does it do that? You know who Jackson Pollock is?
Yeah, no,
I'm sure that when Jackson Pollock came out, people thought he was crazy.
Yeah.
So the question now becomes like, how does this ability to express ourselves, for everybody to express themselves, now begin to change the way, the climate of our respective sectors interact with others, like the quality dropping and all these other things, all this stuff that I've spoken about. Like, it's the honest question. Sorry,
I actually, and yes, I think it's something we can give an answer to, because in a way, when it starts, we feel it's not there, but then it becomes accepted. It's the room for acceptance, for people to be able to accept that, yes, the time has come for this thing to retire and for another new form to be appreciated. But again, when that old form has been retired, when it is brought back again, it happens. It happens that in this arts world, things are recycled. You start at this point where everything was like this, and then you go back. We've seen people making movies, silent films again.
Actually.
Yeah? You've seen people. Yeah, so you see that idea, because you have to miss something. Sometimes it's over, you've been in that thing for too long.
So you're unable to appreciate.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. So when there's that gap, it's given for it to rest. Another person now goes back to it, brings it back, and then it begins to get a new life again. It begins to be appreciated again by another generation. Because like there are times that you say an artist came too early before his time. Yeah, like you brought something and then it wasn't appreciated, but a generation that comes like
Definitely.
another time.
In the visual arts, there's what we call apprenticeship. The apprenticeship phase, you go through, when you finish school, you go through the real world, and then you develop this mastery. There are processes or phases that you go through before you are being labeled as a master in art. So we realize that in today's culture, the paradigm shift is changing. Changing for the worst, I can't say, but as it is, when you look at artworks now, they are lacking in this originality now. We are fast losing blood, if you ask me. Because back then, it takes a minimum of 3 to 4 years to come up with a masterpiece. But now, everybody will just wake up and be like, oh, I didn't post anything on social media. People think like I'm not working. So the time frame, it has shortened. The culture has been, should I say, desecrated, because there's this holistic approach. There's this phase you follow very rigorous means, and then things you have to do. First of all, you learn how to draw, because as at then, during the time of Michelangelo and Da Vinci, it takes a minimum of 12 years to go through an apprenticeship phase. But now, 1 year at least, in our university system, 4 years. So nowadays, the culture has changed. Artworks now lack essence in the sense that people don't put their soul in works any longer. They just work for working sake. I have to work so that other people see that I'm working. So if you begin to ask them what drives you, what motivates you, what makes you paint what you paint or draw what you draw, or whatever you do, they just I just found out that no, you should be able to talk to your audience, let them in what you are doing, tell them, engage them, get them lost in the work. That's the goal of an artist. So I am not, let me say, trying to elevate the visual artist over other art forms, but I think the artist has this, he thinks in three-dimensionality. He has this sixth sense that he works with. Also in photography, you have to have sixth sense. They used to tell us back there. They said you're not using your sixth sense, use your sixth sense. There are things you see and then capture that sets you apart from other people or other artists. So I think there are very few people now that are trying to uphold the culture as it used to be in its purity, if you ask me. So
okay, I'm thinking of this. What does it mean to change in itself?
well,
because I'm sorry, change, right?
Yeah.
For change to occur, there has to be an upset. A lot of things are upset. So, can the mindset of it be that time should be given to some things so that it can be understood? Because to go and give backlash on something because you do not see what it could produce, it doesn't lie upon you to determine what the future of that thing would be. Yeah, so I think that is one of the fear that we as creatives have about what happens to our art form. It questions how we even got to learning what we know. That's why so many people talk about the thing. Like among the film space, we speak about how we go to film school, we study this thing. Somebody goes to YouTube, and then it's equally good. And then what happens to your certificate? And then you ask, so if it's like that, there are many people too who are qualified based on the research they've done and the training that they've had that is not in school, in medicine. Well, those people don't have medical certificates or license to work as doctors or as nurses in the hospital. They'll actually be taken to court. So when you look at these things, you ask yourself, okay, so what makes a particular profession to be easily accessible to everybody and they feel that they can make it, and then another that has to go through a particular club and be an association or union that you have to be a member of this to be able to practice.
Yeah.
Most of the times, talent is not just enough. You have to train yourself. You have to. It's not about people think I can sing, let me just sing. You have to train yourself. Okay, what does this profession requires? What do I need to learn about this? How do I do this? How do I do that? You learn under people. You read books. You go online, study. So it gives you upper hand, so that you don't just do things anyhow. Just feel like I can do it. Let me just do it. So talent is not enough. Training too comes in. Discipline. How do you discipline yourself to make sure that you are relevant in this field that you want to go into? So one person can do many things, but how well do you do it?
Consistency.
Yeah, consistency, learning, training, self-development. How well can you do this that you are venturing into? Are you doing it just because you feel it brings money or brings fame or people will talk about you? Why are you doing it? So take training into consideration and give it time to, like you said, give it time and give it training. So
if I'm to jump in here about the training and discipline, he made mention of somebody wakes up in the morning and he posts people feel. Now, most people are no longer for the arts, they're now going for the clout. Do you understand? It's if I post, they see that I'm doing this thing, I don't want celebrity, they begin raise shoulder and all. And you now find out that most of these people, they stay, should I call it, small communities whereby everybody know each other. So now, you see people making films these days because of our raise shoulder. With as low as 20,000 naira, you can make a film. And I can also make a film with as high as 200,000 naira. It all boils down to, let's say, quality. You understand? So in a place whereby 20,000 naira is heavy, the person makes a film, and you look at the person like, he don't make film. But what is that film? Is that film good? Is that film sending a message?
Yeah.
I'd like to hit that we need to stick to the culture. I like to see art as not something we learn. It's something we are born into. Like, I did not know I was going to be a poet ever, because I was a science student and everything. But I started writing in GS3. I think I was 12 or 13. I didn't know what I was doing. I just liked to write. And a teacher saw that I had passion for it. She decided to grow me. She would always say, go and post on the signboard. Go and post on the signboard. And I'd always go to post there. I'd always go to post. And she'd correct, she'd trained me. It was when it was time for a competition, and she said, you are going for this competition. And I did not know what to write. But funny enough, at that competition, they said every student was supposed to write about their ideas on that topic. And we saw people coming with their teachers' work, their parents' work, their brothers' work. Like they were in GS3, we were having very nice, structured poems. And I didn't win the competition. I didn't come first, second, third. But at the end of the competition, the organizer came and said he had somebody he wanted to gift personally because he felt that was one of the most original pieces he had read. And he called me out. And I felt I won that competition because it was like,
It was original.
yes, it was me that wrote it. So it just brings us back to the point he has been trying to make. If we see this art as something that is in our bloodstream, something that we can't do without it, I can be washing and get a line for a poem, and I just quickly write it down and go back to washing. And whilst I'm still washing, I can still be getting bits of it and I'm going to write it. It is not the same for somebody that goes to Google and says, I want to write about the sun, and it drops stuff for you. Mine comes from a place of reasoning, passion, and I fuse it together, and it brings out something that people have not seen before. And probably when it goes to the outside world, they can appreciate it and see it in a different light. So if we are looking at people that do the same thing we do, but do it for fun, no, I don't think I'd say for fun, for the attention it brings. It took me a very, very long time before I could share my work with people on my status. To now say take it to Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter. It took a lot of time because people don't really appreciate poems and they don't even know what I'm trying to say. So I had to always take it through people that I knew appreciated poems. Then later I started taking it out. I started getting jobs. People would want me to do this, write for them. And that's how I started moving. So I'm trying to say that when we have things that are authentic, that come from a place within, it tends to stick. If anybody is looking for a writer now on my contact list, they come to me because they have seen my work and they know that these works are something they can relate to every time. There's always a line or a phrase that you can always relate to, so they try to come to you. For the musician, if what you are bringing out there is something that comes from deep within, they would always relate to it in a deeper sense. If it's a photographer, I like photography where people snap children, the ones in the hood, the ones in the lavished mansions. There's this unique joy about children. There's something in their eyes, there's something in their appearance that always brings out this close to tears feeling for me. So whenever a photographer, maybe Like, likes snapping trees, there's this unique feeling anybody that sees trees that she snaps gets from it. And there's this unique thing she puts into her pictures of trees that gets them to always look for her when it is pictures of trees. For a cinematographer, maybe there's a particular way you like to portray your characters that speaks directly to a group of people or even everybody. There are movies you see and everybody must cry. I've seen a movie that has touched every single person that has seen that movie. So it is from a deeper place. You cannot tell me that a cinematographer that produced that film was just doing it because he wanted money and he's touching people like that. No, he must have had a deeper meaning or a passion to his profession that makes him move people that way. Even the visual artists, the drawings, you can see people gushing over a drawing that somebody, a particular person did. So I'm trying to say, if we are sticking, we'll improve, we'll try to fuse in technology from time to time, we'll try to even put trends, things that are happening around us. But that authenticity has to be there. Like, we should know that I am not writing because I want people to see. I'm writing because this is me. It is in my blood. It is I don't know what to do apart from this. So that brings out a different flavor to it.
I want everyone to actually give an answer about this. She was talking about originality and all that. So when you are making your work, you are trying to pass a message. Like, everybody has something that they're just so particular about that it appears in everything they do, in their work and stuff. Like, can we talk about that thing that you feel you owe it to the world to actually lend your own voice for? What is that? That's, like, can we give a conversation about topics or social happenings or things that we just feel particular about, that we can't do without giving it soul in our work?
For me, it would be the evolution of self. Because in as much as everybody talks about trying to make the world a better place and societal issues, I recognize that for us to have any meaningful conversation about that, for us to have any meaningful idea of change from that, it has to first of all start from the individual. So how are you as a person contributing to the decadence in society? Are you trying in any way to further your own knowledge of self? Are you trying in any way to become better, to be a better human being than you were yesterday? Because you say government did this, government did that, this one, that one, this one, this one, that one. But the truth is that for a lot of Africans, Nigerians in particular, if some of us get into government today, we'll continue the circle of a lot of that has been set down by a lot of our predecessors. So in that realm of existence, do you consider that you are an integral part of the solution as you are an integral part of the problem? So for me, it's always like, let's talk about yourself. Who are you? What do you want to be? Why are you the way you are? Where are you moving towards? How could you better yourself? When I was younger, I used to have a lot of anger issues. I used to be an angry kid. And growing up and growing older, I just realized, I think I was 14 or 15 thereabouts, when I was like, I really don't want to be this kind of person. I don't want to grow up to be pissed off at the world and pissed off at everybody. So what can I do to become better? And then I started having to watch myself through an observer lens. Watch myself in situations, in intense situations. How am I reacting? And then after all that happens, after the situation happens, I go back and sit down. How could I have handled that better? So that when something like that comes up again, I try as much as possible. So, like, in my music, you always find liters of that everywhere. You talk about self-doubt, because in trying to evolve from one part to the other, you always doubt that process of evolution. So I do talk about self-doubt a lot. I do talk about religion, because a lot of us don't even practice the true sense of religion. Our religious practices are always wrapped and packaged in sentiments of whatever we're born with, and then whatever we decided to add along the way. So how do you see yourself in that? Do you see yourself as actually being a piece of the puzzle, or do you see yourself as standing outside the puzzle? So that's, for me, it's always about the journey of the human condition. The journey of the human condition, because the journey of yourself through life. I can't do without trying to add that as a sprinkle in somewhere, no matter how happy the song is or how sad it is.
Yeah, so picking from what Billy said earlier on, I think I get my motivation too from humans, from me, because I feel everything I'm feeling right now, or feeling at every particular moment, is something another person can relate from or relate to. I like to talk about struggles and pain because I won't say that is most of what I felt, but it really is. Like I've struggled a lot with myself, and I've been in a lot of pain physically. So I think people have pain but don't like to talk about it. So when they see, because they are seen as weak in the African society, most times I think in Africa everybody or most people should be in a mental facility. Yes. But because we have this, we are African men, we are strong, we are fearless, we are bold. Everybody tends to push it aside, and it does a lot to us. We channel it into different things. Sometimes it might be insane, and sometimes we just heal from it. Most times we heal from it, because if we were supposed to channel it into something really bad, we would have burned down Africa or Nigeria. So we are usually seen as weak as Africans if we express how we feel, the pains we feel. And so it is hard for us to go meet a friend and say, I'm struggling with this. So I write it. Somebody said poets are sad people. And you can almost agree with them, because we are trying to bring out the very emotion you are running away from. Even if we don't feel it, we try to immerse ourselves in it so we can feel it. I've not tasted snow, but I write about it because I know there are 1,001 people out there who want to know what snow feels like. And the moment I can write in such a way that they feel it on their tongue or on their skin, it is almost compared to when they are actually with it. So the missing of things we don't have, the struggle of missing things we don't have, and then getting to feel it in our words, there's this peculiar feeling about it. I go in-depthly into stuff that I know people struggle every day with. I struggle with it, so I can write about it. People out there struggle with it, so I can relate to it. There was this rape trend, and I was writing about it and I was crying. And I did not know why I was crying, because I've never been raped. I've never been close to being raped. Like, I had nothing to do with it, but I was crying. Because at that point, I was feeling the pain of a video of a lady who was raped. She was interviewed and she was speaking in pain. And I could feel it, and I wanted to write about it. And so when I started writing, I was getting all teary. At the time of Lekki massacre, I wanted to write about it. And when I was writing about it, I was replaying every single video I'd seen of policemen shooting at people, and I was writing about it and I was feeling it. So I am a sad person, and I write about it. I have struggles, and I write about it. When I am very happy, I can write about it too, but I just feel my happiness cannot be written in words. But you see the sadness, I can pen it down. So my struggles my pain, how I see life, how I assume people see life too makes me write. It is like a huge motivation to me.
So, for me, yeah, when because I'm also a screenwriter, a scriptwriter. When I'm writing for my movies or my films, I try, like I said, I have branches. You could always see unanswered questions here and there. I'm more of like an open-ended person. You could just, I try as much as possible to give you a question to ask yourself and answer yourself. I try as much as possible to put you on a platform of argument whereby this thing this person did, is this smart? This person could have just easily walked away, or this person would just say no. I put you in a position whereby you have this self-reflection. When I make my movies, when I write, I try as much as possible to put questions here and there, questions for you to answer. Most of the times, at the end of my films, you see based on possible events. You understand? Normally, you see based on true life stories and this, but possible events in the sense that this thing is actually possible, but we don't want to pay attention. It's like we're shying away from it. We're running away from the truth. It is the truth. It is like our reality, but due to the fact that we don't want to be true to ourselves, because I try as much as possible. Anything I do, I'm true to myself. I tell people that at the end of the day, even when you lie to the world, even when I lie, I play with the world, I come out, I go back in my shell and I'm like, this is not who you are, this is who you are. So I give you questions like, you need to be true to yourself. So if this thing is right, if this thing is wrong, reflect on it. Sometimes people tell me that, okay, I love action, so you might see like violence and all, but not really that. Just, I love action, but I want people to reflect like on those things that are possible. If you find yourself in such situations, how do you go about it? Because many a times you see people confused. Like you might just find yourself, okay, just like you said, you were stabbed 4 times. Now, in your life, did you think anybody will stab you 4 times? I don't even understand. So imagine a film like that 4 times, like now it gives you that reflection on what to do. He said he found a way to go to the hospital. Some people, they just drop there, now they end for them. There's no extra motivation. So I want you to, after you see my work, you should be able to question yourself. I want you to reflect, because I have lots of questions. So sometimes I just put them in my film style. I want you to have that conversation with somebody and be able to like, okay, you say your mind, the person says their mind. The person is not right, you're not wrong. It's just, Sophia just
having opinion.
Yeah, there should not be really a deep message, but you being able to express yourself. I give you the platform for you to express yourself. That's basically what you can see in my work.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. I think I can relate to what Morenike said. As a poet, I have this friend that always expresses herself. She's been in and out of love, she's been heartbroken and all that. So whenever I'm reading her poems, she had a big cup. Sorry. Because for you to be able to understand poetry, you have to be a very sensitive person. You have to be a sophisticated reader.
Yes.
And you have to immerse yourself, like be in that person's shoe. It stirs a lot of imagination. What is this person going through? So what has she or he been through that makes him or her say or write what they are writing? So she always, when she writes, she sends them to me, and then I kind of express myself too. I kind of immerse myself into her world, and then pick out some of her emotions. She'll be like, oh, nobody understands me as much as you do. And then I'll be like, oh, I'm just being who I am. I'm sensitive. I'm very sensitive too. So as an artist, we whatever art form you are exploring, deep down there you want to express yourself first and foremost. Like when I draw, I'm nocturnal. I work at night most of the times, and then I draw my face. Sometimes I use a mirror. Sometimes they are my selfies, and then I draw, and then I title them "Man, Know Thyself." If you go to my Instagram handle, you see most of these drawings there. You see the way I tell stories of our Nigerian society in a very different way. Most times I love drawing with biro. I draw a lot with pen. So there is not a day that will pass that will not have a story to tell. So sometimes it doesn't have to appeal to you or the audience, because hidden in that story is something that you have to open your eyes deep to look at. Even in music, you don't just listen to the beats and all that, because the beat, what's the lyrics saying? What's the artist trying to say? So to me, art goes beyond just going on paper or on canvas. First of all, you need to have that story in your head that you want to tell your audience. So in creating that story, how do you now, talk about issues that affect everyday life? Like I said earlier, we talk about issues from the social, political, and cultural perspectives. How has it changed the way we do things? What are we saying? How are we giving our voices out? How are we addressing social issues? With every time we are in, there are things that change. So as an artist, you try to find yourself, positioning yourself in that situation, and then recreating that story, so that in times back, you will look and see that, yes, this thing actually happened in that era. And the artist has, as an artist, you have your story, you've shelved it already, let me use that word. So I think it goes just beyond just expression for expression's sake. Retell that story in a different way, but also that people will see that like, wow, I love this, I love the expression, I love the background, I love the, and all that. You create that wowness in your work. So that's what people are looking out for. People have seen art, you have seen different forms of art, but when you create something, there is something that makes you stand out, your work. So that's, you are putting in your soul. So you let people see who you are through your works.
The reason why I take photographs, or why I'm a photographer, basically because of 3 reasons. First is to save memories, to freeze time. I used to say photographers have the superpower of freezing time. That's our superpower. Because when we look back in time, we'll be like, so this was how I looked, this was how this person looked, and then you tend to appreciate where you are now, looking back at where you were. The second reason why I am a photographer is to tell stories. If someone looks at my picture, they should be able to understand what happened while that shot was being taken. They should be able to say, okay, this was happening, this person was telling this person this, and like it should be able to trigger a story in the mind of the audience. And then the third reason why I take pictures, or why I'm a photographer, is to showcase beauty, whether it's humans photographing, or nature, or just anything around. I want to see the beauty in it, even if naturally they don't seem to be beauty there. I want to be able to, capture the beauty, because I believe there's beauty in everything. Even in a seemingly bad situation, I believe there's beauty in it. So I want to tell the story of beauty, or I want to capture the beauty in that subject. So the three basic reasons why I take pictures, or what you should see in my picture, should be, yes, we are saving a memory, we are telling a story, and then we are capturing beauty. People love beautiful pictures. Aesthetics. When people see beautiful pictures, there are certain emotions that are triggered in beautiful pictures. I'm a family person. I want to tell that story of love, of family, of togetherness.
Affection.
Yes, preaching love. I always want to preach love in my pictures. I want to preach togetherness in my pictures. So that's why I kind of major on that type of photography to preach love. So.
So it's so interesting that everybody has their own, what motivates them to actually go into the arts that they are doing. And that is what we want people to see when we present our work. There's one thing that is universal about our understanding of what we do. The universality in it is that we all share it. There's something we want to say. There's something we want people to get from it. Now, we have a poet who wants people to know that she can empathize with their sad times, when they feel down. We have a musician who wants us to find within ourselves the truth of our existence through his work. We have the filmmaker who wants us to question why things are. And as we question, we should find answers that are true to us. Or is it the visual artist who wants to find the simple things in life that exist around us to put it out for everyone to see? Or the photographer who wants to spread the message of love, who wants to spread the message of family and togetherness. Now, all this that we've been who we are, it changes with time. And as we grow older, we learn more. Things around us happen, and then we adapt. We drop some things, we pick up some things. We understand things we usually understood on a different level. And then the idea is we are growing, and that is what changes. So change is the constant that we should all embrace, that it may not be as it started, and it will not be as it ends. So through the journey, the experience should be what we should all enjoy. Now, thank you, everybody. We've had this conversation, and it's been a good time having you all to delve into the understanding of our culture and what Neoculturation means to us, as how we would intermingle with so much cultures that are either personal cultures or global cultures, but in a way, it forms the culture that we are, what we are, and the culture we uphold at the time. And that culture that we uphold at that time would change too as time comes. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thanks for having us.
Well done, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.